As leaders, we have the incredible opportunity to care for people during life's high moments, low moments, and everything in between. My name's Taylor Doe, and I'm the co-founder of Notebird, which is software helping churches track and organize pastoral care. I get to talk with church leaders across the country and internationally about pastoral care and how they're caring for their people both physically and mentally and emotionally and spiritually. You might be a leader who has a ministry that's caring for people's physical needs, such as clothing and housing and food. And you're also caring for people's emotional and spiritual and mental needs through counseling and grief care and coffee meetings and small gatherings, just caring for people that way. You are caring for and supporting people during life's high moments and low moments. In our short time today, I want to just share some insights that we've gathered from these church leaders over the years. And I also want to share a way to kind of think about how to find the right tool to track and organize pastoral care for your team to keep everyone on the same page. One thing that we believe in that we hear and that we know about pastoral care is that people feel genuinely cared for when you remember the details in their lives. Let me say that one more time. People feel genuinely cared for when you remember the details in their lives. As your ministry grows and expands and evolves and is added to, you'll find that the details become harder to remember. There's more people and the details become deeper and more intricate as we get to know people and their life stories. And so as leaders, our teams and us are looking for ways to stay organized and remember those details because we genuinely want to care for others. My care ministry started in more of a non-traditional way. I started in corporate America. The CEO at the time said, "Hey, I want my employees to feel cared for, and you're going to be the guy who does that." And so when an employee would have a baby, I would deliver a baby basket. And when an employee would have a loved one pass away, I would deliver food and handwritten cards and make follow-up calls throughout the year just to check on them and care for them. If our employees were going through maybe marital issues or mental health crises, then we would provide additional resources and supports for them to communicate that we're caring for them and care about them. But I realized that as I'm caring for more people, there are more details, and I needed a way to stay organized. And this is kind of how I felt about pastoral care and kind of remembering those details. This was me relying on my memory. I knew I blew it several times. I forgot important details, important dates in people's lives. And there's people in our ministries who will verbally let us know that we forgot. And then there are other people in our ministry who are a little bit more quiet and reserved and will be hurt and not really let us know because we've kind of forgot that big life moment or that date. And so I blew it several times trying to just keep all of those details in my memory. This was also me searching for my pastoral care notes. So I started writing these things down after my memory wasn't working, but I would save them in my notes app on my phone. I might write them on a sticky note on my desk. I might be in my car and just grab a journal to kind of write down these details that I wanted to remember. And so it kind of felt like I was always searching for my pastoral care notes. This was me searching through my email threads to find pastoral care information. I would search people's first name and last name in my email to see what kind of our latest conversation was and to kind of remember the details of our last conversation so that I could go in to this meeting or the phone call prepared. Or I would use this search feature because I knew that my team and I had talked about ways to care for this person. And so I just wanted the most up-to-date conversation that we'd had so I can provide an adequate level of care. But what turned out happening was I felt really frantic, kind of like this cat searching through my email threads as well as my group text, and I could really never find the information I needed when I needed it. And lastly, this was me just yelling down the hall to kind of find out pastoral care information from my team. Hey, Betty's having surgery. Betty had surgery. What happened? What details do we know going from office to office? And if someone wasn't there, then I didn't really have that information. And so it was really based on proximity. Who was around that had information that could provide that to me before I made the call? And that really got frustrating and hard to do. And so that was how I felt. And I found kind of this weird peace in a weird way, because when I started calling some of my friends who were in leadership and in doing pastoral care in churches, they felt very similar to me in this. I wasn't alone in this feeling of frustration and kind of feeling like I was letting people down in a way, and also needing and this desire to need a system. This is when I realized that every church has a system for managing pastoral care. If it's stored in your brain, that is a system. If it's stored in a spreadsheet, that is a system. If it's written down on a dry erase board in the office, that is a system. Every church has a system for managing the details because we believe that you genuinely want to care for your people, and people feel genuinely cared for when you remember the details. Before we jump into the model or kind of the tactical way to find the right tool to help you and your team kind of track and organize these care needs, I want to take a step back and help us identify what we call care channels. And care channels are the people and platforms within your ministry that help to notify you of pastoral care needs. And these channels provide you and your team with valuable care information when it matters the most. And so we've provided this free download on our website for you to be able to kind of walk through this process and identify your care needs. And so on the top of this worksheet, we'd really love for you to evaluate the people within your ministry who are relationally connected to the needs of your congregation. So you can write down their name and maybe their kind of role. Are they a pastor? Are they on staff? Is it kind of someone in leadership? Is it a volunteer? Is it someone who just attends but is very relationally connected and in tune with the needs of your congregation? They can definitely be a care pipeline to let you know about upcoming needs and current needs. And on the bottom, list the platforms and systems that help bring awareness and notify you of pastoral care needs and issues. And that might be Facebook and Instagram, or maybe you've built a form on your website that notifies you that when people submit a request for care. Maybe it's a connection card that someone turns in on a Sunday, but write down the platforms that allow you to find out about these care needs. Once you find out these care needs through the care channels, you need a place to store these needs or these life updates. And like we said earlier, every church has a system for managing pastoral care. And for the last several years, we've been charting and gathering data around how church leaders are doing this, how they are storing these life details, these conversations that they're having. And these are the ones that keep coming up time and time again. As you can see here, the Excel spreadsheet, the infamous pastoral care spreadsheet comes in at number one. Then other churches are using a Word document or email, scratch paper, group texts, their calendar, and maybe even their church software to manage and organize these details. But what we hear most is people say, we've tried everything. And so we also have this other download available on the website that allows you to identify what we call the hub. And this is essentially the systems that you're using, one or multiple systems you're using to organize the care needs and the conversations and all the information that goes into pastoral care. So on the left-hand side of this worksheet, you can kind of mark the different tools that you use. And on the right side, you can write down the benefits or the shortcomings of these systems. And so I don't want to take too much time here because I want to move on to really the core of our conversation. That is finding the right tool that meets the needs of your ministry. So I want to give you a model here that you can use as you're identifying different tools, different resources to help you track and organize pastoral care. The first step to identifying the right tool is to identify your team's level of tech savviness. And as you can see here on this chart, the left-hand side is for teams that are not so tech savvy. This is your team members who kind of skewed more towards pen and paper. And then as you go farther down the right of this scale, it is more for tech savvy teams. So maybe you're a team that is very comfortable with technology and adopting new technology. And you might even have a development team on staff where you can build your own apps and things like that. And so it's really important to identify where your team is as a whole, not just you as the leader, but your team as you're wanting them to adopt this new system. Where do they fall along the scale? Are they over here with the not so tech savvy, a little anxious about using new technology, or is your team on the right side here where it's very tech savvy, loves new technology, loves adopting those things? The first step is to identify where your team falls along this scale. Now let's walk through the model on how to find the right tool for your team. There are 3 components that when they line up, that's when you know that you found the right solution to tracking and organizing pastoral care for your team. And so let's go through those 3 and talk about them individually and then how they play out together. At the top of the Venn diagram, you'll see cost. Here, the first component of this decision-making model is cost. Does this solution or this technology fit within our budget? Do I see the value in this tool? Can I stretch my budget a little bit more because I see the value? We need to evaluate cost. Another one of the components is convenience. Will my team be able to use this tool? Is it simple? Is it complex? That's why it's so important to know kind of your team's level of tech savviness or their willingness to engage in a new technology. Is it convenient? What I'll mention here is to kind of think about your volunteer who will be using the tool to kind of help you care for your people. They're not using this day in and day out. They're making visits in the evenings or on the weekends. And so they're not interacting with this software every single day. And so to think about the convenience for that person is really important as you're evaluating the right tool for your team. The last component is capability. Does this tool, does this software have the capability you're looking for? And that is the features that you really need or want within a system. If you have a desire for it to be mobile friendly, is it mobile friendly? Does it need a tasks feature? Does it need a notes feature to kind of keep track of these details? You'll figure out which tools you need and features you need for this solution, and that falls into the capability portion of this model. Now I want to highlight the 3 areas that solutions can kind of fall in between these 3, which can kind of sometimes catch us off guard, or we try it and we figure out that it's not the actual solution. And so the first is a tool that falls between cost and convenience, which means that it's the right cost and it's easy to use, but it doesn't have the features that you need. And so an example of this might be the spreadsheet, the infamous pastoral care spreadsheet. It's the right cost because it's free and it's sort of convenient to use. Like everyone knows what a spreadsheet is. Everyone kind of knows what a column is, but it doesn't really have the capability. As you start adding more information, it kind of becomes unwieldy and it's not very mobile friendly. So the capability isn't there, but it definitely falls into the cost and the convenience sector. So that would not be a right tool for you. Another area that sometimes solutions fall into that we see is between the capability and convenience. And so this just means that it has the right features and it's easy to use, but it doesn't fit within the budget. And so it's not going to work out. Once again, it has the right features, it's easy to use, but it doesn't fit within the budget. And lastly, where we see other tools kind of fall in between is cost and capability. So it's the right cost, it has the right features, but the tool is not easy to use, so your team won't use it. So it might be the perfect solution, but as you're really evaluating it, you know, or you've done a demo or you've really tried to roll it out to your team and your team just doesn't use it. And so that is when solutions fall between cost and capability. The ultimate goal is to find a solution to track and organize pastoral care that fits in between all 3 of those. In the center of that Venn diagram is cost and convenience and capability, finding a solution that is right for your ministry. That is where we want you to land. That is where you're going to find your sweet spot. So you know that details are going to be tracked so people don't fall through the cracks. It's affordable for the budget. Your team is willing to use it. And that is when you know you found the right tool to track and organize those details that are so important to pastoral care. We've created a final PDF for you to have that allows you to find the right tool that fits with your team. This is everything that we just talked about, but in a worksheet here that you can talk with your team about and really draw on and highlight and do whatever you need to do as you're finding the right tool. My hope is that you find a tool, a solution, a technology that fits right within that center blue area of the Venn diagram that matches and fits perfectly for your ministry. Because what I've seen is that when ministries find the right systems and tools, it allows them to focus on their people. Focus on the life moments that really matter, allows us to show up in a way that is fully present and fully available to serve and care and support our people. And so that's my genuine hope that you find that, because we as leaders have the incredible opportunity to care for people during life's high moments, low moments, everything in between. And the last thing that I want to happen is that people start falling through the cracks because of the system side, not because of the heart or the desire for you to care for your people. Once again, my name is Taylor Doe. I'm the co-founder of Notebird, and I just want to leave you with a little encouragement and say thank you for the work that you do day in and day out to care for and support your people. You have our support 100%. We thank you for taking time, and we hope that you find the right tool that complements how you're already caring and loving your people.